having something like Parametric, what does that look like embedded within a commercial policy? I'm envisioning that in very short order, we're going to see your typical HO3 policy perhaps coming with a super high deductible with a parametric feature within it. Do you already have a view for at least where you're pushing kind of after this accomplishment, where you see Parametric going next?
Welcome to 5 Minutes, your fast track to smarter insurance technology and stronger leadership. In the next 5 minutes, we're going to show you a better way to lead, scale, and innovate without the chaos. Let's get into it.
Sam Broomer, thank you so much for joining us. You're CEO of NormanMax, and you're here. We got you back on the show just last year. We were here having a conversation about Parametric, and about the great work that you were well into. But a year ago, a lot has changed since then.
Sure has.
And we're in a very different space. Tell us about kind of what things are new that you want to celebrate with us.
Yeah, for sure. Really happy to be here. Happy to have a conversation with you, Miguel. So thanks for making time for me. Maybe just a quick recap during our last discussion. And it's amazing, right? That was a whole year ago. We're really back in the same place, back with a great group of people here at InsurTech America. So happy to be with you.
100% likewise.
You know, we had talked about the fact that I was working really hard to take parametric products, bespoke products, and make them into features for traditional insurance policies, both on the commercial property side as well as for residential homeowners policies.
Sure.
Huge unlocks with that, right? So you think about a residential policy with shrinking terms and conditions, physical loss adjustment, think about rising deductibles, rising rates, exclusions. Really, the policies on the residential side got really, really tough. And depending upon where you live, if the ground shakes, if the wind blows, if you have severe convective storm or hail, or you're subject to flooding, all of these natural catastrophe and climate events typically are a real challenge, not only for the policyholder, but actually sometimes for the carrier as well, doing these physical loss adjustments. So a huge unlock that unfortunately the entire country can benefit from today, as we're seeing changes, not necessarily just in climate, but where we're building and the exposures that we're putting in harm's way today.
That's right.
So that's a very exciting opportunity that we're closing and capitalizing upon. On the commercial property side, as we talked about last time we were together, I would say that's even more profound. Think about business interruption and extra expense without physical damage, contingent business interruption, ingress, egress issues in getting to a location or a business after an event has occurred, and of course, utility interruption as well. Unless you have physical damage, Miguel, in those situations, you probably do not have traditional insurance coverage. So a parametric feature within a traditional property policy solves for all of that. And it provides immediate liquidity, certainty of payment, freedom of use of funds, and provides really a better customer experience, not necessarily just for the insured, but the insured's distribution and that carrier as well. So what has changed? We are taking Parametric from an interesting idea of taking it from a policy into a feature to something that we're actually implementing at this point in time with 3 carriers in the United States. So that's very, very exciting, of course. We're moving from the why to the how, and really enabling reinsurance brokers, talking to their carriers about not necessarily another product, but an opportunity actually to enhance their entire relationship and the value that company brings for the benefit of their policyholders.
You know, Sam, I don't know that that the entire audience can appreciate the gravity of what you just articulated. Can you go into a little bit more depth? Because not all of my audience is very, very technical in some regards, and not everyone is product oriented. And just kind of please go a little bit into how meaningful having something like Parametric, what does that look like embedded within a commercial policy? What is that actual tangible? How does it work from an insurance perspective?
Sure. Yeah. Happy to do that for sure. So it's very much like the turnkey business that we see in the marketplace today. So for many carriers and reinsurance brokers, it's not a foreign concept. It's something we've been doing for a very, very long time. And there's some amazing brands that do this today. So we work with carriers just like folks work in the equipment breakdown space, maybe small business cyber liability, where we go to that carrier and provide and collaborate with them, providing them rates, rules, forms, But in this case, Miguel, it's an enhancement endorsement that adds this additional parametric feature.
Okay.
And where that endorsement is silent, it follows the underlying terms and conditions of the insurance policy.
Right.
So it's not branded my organization. NormanMax is not on this anywhere, nor is Lloyd's of London, which is who we are from a capacity perspective.
Right.
Which is amazing security, by the way. I think the marketplace knows that, of course. This is all about the carrier we're working with.
Right.
So giving them rates, rules, forms, again, enhancement endorsement, marketing support, training, loss adjudication. So we're actually empowering the customer, the carrier, to know, hey, you have a bunch of insurers that actually have potentially a recovery.
Right.
This is an opportunity for you to reach out to them and say, we actually believe your policy has triggered. There's a feature within your policy that can provide you immediate liquidity or near immediate liquidity. Just tell us potentially what happened and let's get that rolling for you. Miguel, when was the last time your insurance company called you and said, hey, you may have a loss. We'd like to learn more from you? That is a real unique opportunity for carriers.
For sure.
And there's no doubt, we had talked today earlier, we heard from Mo Tucker, who is obviously the president of the Hartford. And he was talking about the importance of predicting and preventing over indemnifying. Absolutely agree. But if something happens to you, we're happy to help you at that point in time, at your point in need. This is part of that. When something is happening, we can actually help you in a very novel, thoughtful way and do that through the carrier. Now, with all of that, Miguel, comes 100% quota share reinsurance.
Okay.
So the carrier is now enabled to offer these features without changing their risk profile whatsoever.
Sure.
It's an opportunity for a better customer experience.
Better value add.
And at the same point in time, not harming their balance sheets in any way. So we're very, very excited to be doing that. And again, as I've shared before, 3 carriers coming on board in a short amount of time. Can't share what in proper nouns with you at this point in time, but I'll come back to see you. We'll do some PR together. Some press releases will be coming out.
Love that.
And we're keeping our general counsel really busy with some chats around non-disclosure agreements, receiving some data profiles. So it's an absolute blast. And really, being in this business as a reinsurer for 30 years, this is really thoughtful, noble work.
It is.
I'm really, really excited about the impact that I'm making, bringing other people along, solving a real challenge. It's not just an MVP. This has real good product market fit. And at the same point in time, unfortunately, just what's happening with climate and with vulnerabilities and hazards, it has amazing timing. So it's been amazing.
No, I love that. And just I'm thinking about, I'm a Florida resident. And I'm thinking about, what's happening in to the homeowner insurance market in Florida as the climate risk continues to kind of imperil various kind of communities. And so I'm envisioning that in very short order, we're going to see your typical HO3 policy, perhaps coming with a super high deductible with a parametric feature within it.
That's correct. In addition to helping with that financial stress of a rising deductible, you're also going to have the availability to bring in what I'll call untransferred risk. As a Florida resident, if you're living on the coast, let's say you have some thoughtful landscaping, you might have a deck, docking, seawall, you might have landscaping equipment, a pool. All of those items are not covered in the traditional insurance policies. You have that immediate liquidity, that immediate dollar recovery, not just going towards your deductible where you have coverage in an indemnity policy. Hey, that matters too. But also bringing in coverage for other losses, which I'll just call economic losses that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And to do so very, very quickly. So we're just excited to be doing this in the market. We think it's still pretty novel and thoughtful, but we're seeing amazing traction with carriers without changing any of their behavior or processes.
So on that, let me, if I could double click, because, again, forgive me, Sam, because a lot of what I do is very process and technology oriented. So I'm thinking about, what does the actual journey look like in the event of a loss where the parametric feature would be triggered? Walk us through kind of what that looks like from a carrier perspective, and then also too, obviously from the insured perspective.
We're working with our carriers to understand what their data profile looks like at the point in time at which they launch this product. It's effective on or after a certain date for new and renewal business. So we know at any point in time what that portfolio is, who has the risk, what the limits are associated with that risk. And at the same time, we're working with third-party data providers. This is not something we're adjudicating in-house. This is completely independent.
Of course,
But we're working with other organizations to understand, are these events occurring? Where are they occurring? To what magnitude might they be occurring? Hey, and by the way, we know you have this portfolio, either with carrier A or carrier B, or across my entire portfolio with all of my carriers. So we could say very quickly through those relationships, these are the folks whose policies have triggered. The wind has broached this shape within your relative to your address. The wind speed has moved beyond this speed,
Mhm.
or we have peak ground acceleration of 20%, 30% within a certain area,
Right.
or floodwaters have reached 8 feet
Mhm.
or 8 inches, whatever the
Yep.
case may be.
Right.
So these third-party data providers, relative to the carrier portfolios in which we hold, tell us exactly who potentially has a loss.
Sure.
Now, it is important to note that the insurer does have to provide a notice of loss.
Okay.
That's not an international thing. It's a U.S. item.
Okay.
So we are an insurance entity. We're an MGA headquartered in Miami, Florida. So again, big Miami,
Yeah.
big Florida fan,
Yep,
right?
yep,
So
yep.
good stuff there.
Yep. So, Sam, I guess I would be remiss, given the amount of change that occurred between our last conversation and this one. What do you think we're going to talk about next year? I mean, do you already have a view for at least where you're pushing kind of after this accomplishment, where you see Parametric going next?
Yeah, I think there's really two opportunities. The first one's going to be maybe an expanded conversation, Miguel. Maybe not just the two of us, but actually working with one of our carriers as well.
Yeah.
Having a conversation from their perspective.
Yeah.
What does it mean for their distribution partners? What are they seeing for the benefit of their residential and commercial policyholders? Whether
Yes.
they're middle market business on the commercial side or small businesses, how is that looking? What kind of lift are they seeing in their retentions? What new business opportunities are they receiving? Because they're doing something that
Yeah.
other carriers may not be doing today.
Absolutely.
Now, certainly there's going to come a time, and we know this in the industry, where this will be something that you'll see almost ubiquitous in most
Yeah,
insurance
for sure.
policies. This is an industry that takes a little bit of time to make a change. And that's a good thing, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
The first two organizations I joined in this business, one was founded in 1866.
Okay.
The other was founded in 1877. And they're both still here today.
There you go.
So change does come slowly, but there is some measure of FOMO. So
Yeah.
when things begin to get some traction, opportunities become de-risked, you do see other people entering the space. So the opportunity for our next conversation is absolutely going to see maybe an expanded conversation,
Mhm.
not just from my perspective, but from the carriers we're working with and what they're seeing in their business and what it means for their brand, their
Yeah.
organization, and the care they have for their customers going forward. Secondarily,
Yep.
you're going to find some additional opportunities that we're launching this year
Okay.
around severe convective storm,
Okay.
hail, tornado, and associated flood as well.
Okay.
We're very excited to be working with a number of carriers in the Midwest. We're scoping out those opportunities at this point in time, prioritizing them.
Yeah.
Bit of a plug.
Yep.
Starting today, over the next 5 days, I'll be actually launching a series of polls within LinkedIn,
Okay.
talking about that very specific product and
Okay.
what's most important to the marketplace. What do you want to see first as an MVP? What really is giving you consternation
Yeah.
with respect to that peril? It is a big problem in the U.S.
Yeah, for sure.
We historically have spoke of these episodic events like big hurricanes that have come through.
Right.
But do you know that
More frequent.
severe convective storms are actually larger than hurricane losses
Absolutely.
today?
Absolutely.
It's an aggregation issue, not a systemic, not an episodic issue.
That's right.
So we're solving for that through a parametric feature in these traditional insurance policies. And we know we're going to get amazing traction in the marketplace working with organizations such as the farm bureaus of the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
All throughout the Midwest. And the Midwest is getting bigger, unfortunately, because
Right.
severe convective storms
Yep.
are actually traveling a bit eastward relative to the historical footprint.
Yeah. We're seeing
That too is adding to some of the challenges with aggregation. So I'm really happy to be leading that conversation, solving for that with these features
Mhm.
in traditional insurance policies. You'll see more of that real soon.
Okay.
And of course, our next conversation, I hope and trust, and maybe even promise,
Yeah.
that we will have a third party
Let's
with
do
us
it.
to talk about their journey.
I'll even come to you. We'll make it portable. You said something, Sam, and I was actually thinking about a question I wanted to ask you, because as you're talking about where this journey has gone, I got to believe there's a certain amount of pride in terms of being on the forefront of moving the industry in this direction. You're among the leaders that are doing this, and then you mentioned that you're launching this LinkedIn poll that's basically surveying the market to get closer to what the market needs.
Right.
I was going to ask this question about, what does a thought leader like yourself, like what do you do to kind of really think about what that next opportunity is and to be innovative? You answered it in some regard in terms of just this poll concept,
yeah.
but give me a little bit more about this. Because again, I mean, I'm sitting across from an innovator, and that's innovating not just in technology, but just in the industry, changing product.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about what's in the mind
Yeah.
of an innovator like that.
Thank you for that. You're very kind and thoughtful, of course. I love to take innovation and make it into infrastructure. So that's where outcomes live. Execution is where outcomes live.
Okay.
That last bit is very hard to do.
Yeah.
And I think one of the ways you can succeed at that is by thinking about not necessarily what you can offer the marketplace, but really what the marketplace is looking for. So pent up demand. Are there people trying to solve these challenges today? How are they doing with that? Are they doing well? Are they doing poorly? You want to make sure we can go where the action is. Now, I've been in this industry for about 30 years now, and we've developed some amazing products along the way. Many of them have been supply side thinking, like this is the best thing. People are going to love this. It's going to go crazy. Everyone that's worked here is going to retire. Of course, none of those things, of course, happen. So a bit of hyperbole there, of course. But many of them missed the mark entirely. Yeah. And that's because we didn't have a good pulse on the opportunity and the demand in the marketplace. So I always start with how do you make things better by really understanding what the marketplace need is. And then you'll bring those people along with you to be part of the solution as opposed to developing a product in which they can choose to buy. Right. When you make people part of the conversation, you're making them part of the solution. Yeah. You're validating that you have a market and you're solving a real demand consideration. And I think that's what thought leaders do differently than folks who develop products for a living.
I love it. Sam, this has been an amazing conversation. It's crazy how fast the time flies when we're having these discussions. But again, looking forward to that follow-up conversation. Again, I will come to you and your carrier partner when we have that conversation because I'm super excited to track the progress you guys are making.
Miguel, sounds excellent. Thanks so much. Always happy to help.
Likewise.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.